Hi there, you glorious bastards! Daddy Mangs coming at you right here with another Patreon Q&A. I haven't done these in quite a while. I think the last one I did was back in December. But I felt like doing another one. You guys asked me a lot of questions. I got 25 in total, and I'm going to be answering them right here. If you don't know how this works, basically I ask my patrons to submit questions, I make a video about it, and you watch it. Pretty simple. Yeah, there's going to be some Fire Emblem content in the background, some Heroes Grand Conquests, just to give you something to look at. But of course, this video is sort of like a podcasty type, so if you want to minimize it and do something else, you can. Also, if there are certain questions that interest you more than others, you can check out the video description and go click the timestamps. If you just want to listen to a couple of them, you can jump over the ones you find boring. And yeah, we're just going to jump into it. We're going to start off with this question from Valoria1097, who asks, do you ever think the memes inside Fort Mangs get stale, such as the Oats and the Furries? Of course I do. That's the whole point of memes. I mean, to quote, I don't even remember where I heard it, but like, no meme lives forever, my son. Like, memes are organic, they come into existence organically, and they die organically, and the whole nature of memes is that they get stale after a while. You know, for example, a couple of memes that spring to mind, the Ugandan Knuckles meme that exploded into popularity a couple months back. It came really quickly, but also got old really quickly, and just like a week after it was born, people already started to groan whenever it was posted on Fort Mangs and other places. Some memes stay around longer than others, some get stale really quickly, and people turn on them very fast. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are really tired of my memes. I know for a fact that I've gotten a couple of complaints from other communities, particularly on Discord, where people have messaged me and said things like, Mangs, can you please tell your fans to stop coming to our servers and spreading Mangs memes because we're so tired of them at this point. But the whole nature of memes is that you can't really stop them. They have to go away on their own, right? Remember, Lucky Crit made that video where he basically asked people to stop using the Begone Thought meme in the Fire Emblem community because he was so tired of it, but you can't do that. I mean, memes come and go on their own. That's the magic of memes, and that's also what's annoying about them. I had to ban SpongeBob Fire Emblem memes from my Facebook group because I got so tired of seeing them everywhere, and they got shared again and again. Every time some new member came into Fort Mangs, he would post a stupid SpongeBob meme, and I got so tired of it after a while that I basically put it in the rules. Don't post SpongeBob memes. They're banned. So sometimes, of course, if you're the moderator of a community, you can at least make certain memes go away by force, but I wouldn't really recommend it unless it really is the last alternative. So yeah, of course I get tired of memes. That's how memes work, but I also know that you can't really force them away. They'll go away on their own when people stop sharing them. The second question of the day comes in from MetaDash, who asks, when and if Louise gets added to Heroes, what artist and voice actress do you want her to have? With Louise, I definitely think Hakan, the person who drew Nefany, Hinoka, and Hawkeye, and Effie, would really do her justice. With Louise, you gotta get one thing right, you gotta get her legs done right, and Hakan has shown time and time again that he is really good at drawing legs, so I would definitely want Hakan to draw Louise. As far as her voice, definitely Cherami Lee, because Cherami Lee has such a wide range of voices that she can do. She does Cecilia, which I think is amazing, but at the same time she also voices May. So she has the ability to voice both a young teenager and sort of like a mature lady. And with Louise, I think you gotta find a good middle ground. Louise is not like, she wouldn't have like a complete mommy voice like Camilla, but at the same time she wouldn't sound like a teenager either. She's in her 20s, so you need to find a good voice between like mature, but at the same time, I think lighter than Cecilia. For sure. So yeah, Cherami Lee would be perfect for Louise. As far as the Japanese voice actor goes, I'm not really good at Japanese voice actors, so I wouldn't know, but anything that doesn't sound too young or too old would be nice. The next question comes in from AmBrosiac, who asks, what pushed you to become a full-fledged content creator? It's quite simple. I hated my job. I worked in a kindergarten, and I also worked part-time at a storehouse, and I found it boring as absolute hell. Mostly I worked in the kindergarten, and I also worked at a special school with kids with disabilities, and also sometimes with very aggressive students, aka like problematic kids who got violent and stuff. Experienced one time a kid bringing a gun to school. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, I've been through some pretty rough jobs in my time, and yeah, the truth of the matter was that I simply just hated my job. I felt like it wasn't very meaningful, and I was tired of going to work every day just wanting to get home. I was tired of hating my job, essentially. And I realized I probably could have picked differently, but it's kind of difficult once you start to go into a specific career. It's very difficult to branch out because you got experience in that career and your entire resume lies in that area. So it's very difficult to suddenly jump over to something else, which I tried to do, but it was during a time in Norway where it was really hard to get jobs. So yeah, I was just super tired of my job. I woke up every morning not wanting to go to work, and that's not very healthy, I think. I think it's very important to love your work. So one day I sat down and I was like, if I can do this much better on YouTube, I need to get this amount of views, and I have this amount of views. If I can get to this point, I can live comfortably off it, or at least, you know, pay my bills and not starve. So I was like, alright, I'm doing it. So I called my job, I quit, and I sat down, and instead of going to work, I made videos. It's that simple, really. Fates being released had a lot to do with it, because, of course, when Fates came out, that was a huge boost to my channel because of the popularity of the game itself. So I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for Fates and the popularity that came with it. But that's what did it for me, at the very least. Not because I necessarily loved YouTube all that much. I do love YouTube, but it was also a hatred for the job that I currently had. I think that motivates you more than anything. So the next question comes in from MaxBurnHeart, aka Maxi, who asks, if you could, what would you change from the Fire Emblem Game Boy? Lovely, I'm keeping that one in. Game Boy era of the class balance, especially Fire Emblem 7. What class is the weakest for you and why? I wouldn't change a lot about the Game Boy Advanced era, because honestly, why go back and change a classic game? But in terms of a remake or something, I think I've been pretty adamant about the two weakest class in the Game Boy Advance era being Armor Knights and Archers, with Archers probably being the weakest of the two. Simply just because the game, like all Fire Emblem games really, up until Fates, had a habit of just putting horrible base stats on Archers combined with a shitty weapon that can't do much on enemy face, and you all know how important the enemy face is for Fire Emblem. With Armor Knights kind of suffering a little bit in the same area, having really bad stats, and aside from being able to survive, couldn't even do much on enemy face themselves. Like, in Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem, it's pretty simple. You kill your enemies. That's how you survive. Tanking is just not very lucrative, I find. So Archers and Armor Knights are pretty shit. But Fates kind of already made those classes a lot better. I don't think I know what I would do differently. Some people say that they should just go to Gaiden and Echo's route and just make Archers being able to retaliate in melee, but I actually didn't like that either. I think that kind of removed a very integral part of the Archer class that I think is kind of important to have in there. I think they shouldn't be able to retaliate at close range, but I think just increasing their offensive stats goes a long way, to be fair, and I think that's more than enough. I don't think you need to do any massive mechanical changes, just make your Archers and Armor Knights have better offensive stats. A lot of hacks have already started to do this, like The Last Promise, and even like Ghast's hack Bloodlines, I do believe the Archers and Armor Knights are just a lot better. People just realize that in order for these classes to be competitive, they just need more stats. It's really that simple. The next question comes in from someone who did not include their Patreon username, so I assume they want to be anonymous, and they ask, hey Mangs, what's your advice for someone trying to lose weight? Well, there's really just one advice I would give you, regardless of what kind of person you are. If you exercise a lot, diet a lot, eat a lot, or whatever, you gotta count your calories. It is really essential. I started losing weight in July last year, 2017, and in total, I have lost 21 kilograms, or 46 pounds, which is a lot. And I would never be able to do it if I didn't count my calories. This is integral to weight loss. So what I do is I use the app MyFitnessPal. It's free. You can download it on your phone, or you can access it via your web browser. What's great about having it on your phone is that you can scan the barcode of anything you pick up at the store, and it will put it into your diary, and it will save it. So if you eat a lot of the same food, which a lot of us do, you can compile a list over all the foods you eat, and as you eat them, you just put them into your list, and it will tell you how many calories you got left. It also gives you other information, such as like how many proteins you eat per day, how much fat you get, how much salt you get, stuff like that, and it gives you some advice like, hey, you're eating a little bit too much salt, you shouldn't eat this much salt, it's not good for you. So eat your calories. Yeah, you gotta eat your calories, but you gotta count your calories. This is absolutely essential. First, of course, you got to figure out how many calories you burn per day, which the app can also calculate for you. Just put in your weight, your height, your age, and how active you are, and it's going to give you a number, and that number is usually pretty accurate. Maybe it's like a little bit off, but that doesn't matter as long as you stay within a certain limit. Once you start to count your calories, you start to pick up a lot of very important information about the food that you eat. For example, I had no idea that chips had insane amount of calories in them. I always thought that potato chips were a good alternative to things like chocolate, but a bag of potato chips is like 1,000 calories, and to give you guys some perspective, I eat 2,500 calories a day, which is not a lot for a guy my size. I'm a pretty big guy. So I burn 3,000 calories per day on average, so I eat 500 less than I need, and that makes me lose half a kilogram, or about 1 pound, 1 to 2 pounds, I'm not sure about the calculation, per week. Which is a steady weight loss. But yeah, if I eat a bag of chips, that's like almost half of what I can eat in a day. That is how much calories chips contain. So there's a lot of things about food when you start counting the calories that you pick up. Like, for example, I know that if I want to eat a frozen pizza, that's like 1,500 calories. You know, stuff like that. If I want to eat a bar of chocolate, I know that's probably going to be 350 calories. So you start to notice what kind of foods are good in terms of calories and what food contains a lot of empty calories, aka food with a lot of calories but not with a lot of nutrients in them. So you eat them and you just get hungry again. So they're just simply things you will not be able to eat anymore if you count your calories. But what I really like about having a diet, or a budget as I call it, is that you can eat a chocolate every now and then if you want to, but you got to put it into the Fitness Pal and realize that that is less food that you can eat during the day. But sometimes I go and buy myself a chocolate or an ice cream because it's nice outside and I want to eat an ice cream. I put it into my Fitness Pal, and that's less food that I can eat during the day. I'm gonna have to pay the price for that ice cream. So that is my advice to you. If you want to add me on my Fitness Pal, I'll post my mail. So you can search me up there and add me as a friend. You can see what I eat, I can see what you eat. Me and Mina, we have each other on my Fitness Pal, and we like stalking each other's food diaries a lot, and it's really helpful to have friends on there because it posts whenever you lose weight. If you type in your weight, and it kind of, it's very motivating to have a friend to lose weight with. That's definitely something that I recommend doing, because you have a friend to lose weight with, that is going to be a nice activity for you guys to do together. I usually always lose weight together with a friend. We talk to each other, give each other tips, and talk about the struggles and stuff like that. Being on your own is tricky, so if you can find a friend that wants to lose a couple pounds, I recommend like introducing your friend to my Fitness Pal, adding each other on there, and make it sort of like a fun activity to do together. Like, oh, how did you do? I'm doing great. Like, this is how many calories I got left, and it's really, really important. So and that's also the last thing I want to mention regarding this is be honest about it. Tell all your friends that you're trying to lose weight. Don't hide it, because when you tell all your friends that you're trying to lose weight, they'll also be more understanding of you. It's really hard to try and hide the fact that you're on a diet, because if you're with friends and suddenly they bring out a cake, and they're all gonna start going like, oh, why aren't you eating cake? Why don't you like the cake? But if everyone knows that you're trying to lose weight, they'll be a lot more respectful, and they'll say things like, oh, sorry for, of course you don't want any cake because you're on a diet. And I find that it helps that all my friends around me are aware that I'm on a cut, so that they don't offer me anything or stuff like that. So it's less temptations to go through the day. So definitely count your calories, get a friend involved, and be honest about your family, to your family and loved ones, and tell them that you're trying to lose weight, and also set yourself a realistic goal, not too big one, and work towards that goal. My next goal right now is 110 kilograms. I'm currently 114, so 4 kilograms to go until my next goal, and I'm very, very excited to meet that goal. Once I meet that goal, I set another goal. So set yourself small little goals and track your progress. My Fitness Pal allows you to put in weight and everything, so you can see how much weight you've lost, and it's really, really motivating. And trust me, losing weight is probably one of the best things you can do for your health. I really, really am not kidding. This is It's an antidepressant like nothing else. I recommend it to everyone who struggles a little bit with obesity. It is probably one of the most important life decisions you will ever make. Alright, so the next question comes in from Baloog, and he asks, what aspect of Fire Emblem makes you enjoy / love it so much to devote your channel to it? I'm going to be completely honest here, and this might come as a shock to some of you guys, but I think the fact that I ended up with a Fire Emblem-centric YouTube channel is completely on accident. So, a friend of mine started Let's Playing a game called Let's Play... It's not called Let's Play, well, his Let's Play was named that. Crystals of Thracia or something weird like that, and he just made that video and he showed it to us, and I was like, oh, cool. That's a cool concept. You play video games and you film it and you upload it to YouTube. So I wanted to do that too because it looked fun, and I was thinking about like what game should I let's play, what would be fun to watch, and I was like, yeah, Fire Emblem, that works. And I originally made my first Fire Emblem 6 Let's Play just for those two friends. It was literally just, I wanted them to play Fire Emblem because I was playing Fire Emblem a lot at the time, and I figured it would make a fun video to film myself playing. I considered many other games, like I considered doing Lords of Magic, which I've done at a later point. I considered doing Civilization, which I also have done at a later point. There was many games that I considered making as my first Let's Play. I think it just ended up being Fire Emblem because I figured it was more fun to record. So, and then obviously, the two people that I originally made the Let's Play of, they only watched until part 5 or something like that, and then they sort of dropped off. But then I started to accumulate another audience of people who came from the outside, and then my fan base started growing, and that kind of just spiraled into the Fire Emblem channel that I have now. I don't think it was a conscious choice for me to decide to make it a Fire Emblem channel. I think I could have just as easily ended up being any other kind of channel, depending on the first game that I chose. So that's really the truth of it. So the next question comes in from LoPo, and he asks, if there was a Fire Emblem hack which looked really crappy story-wise, but amazing gameplay-wise, would you play it? Just curious. Eee. That's how I always envision people sounding when they like, eee. Yes. I don't know what to say. I mean, I want to play Void's Blitzar Adventure, and that's pretty much a amazing gameplay hack with no story. Yeah, I think, I've said this before, but I prefer if a Fire Emblem game has good gameplay and a shitty story, because I can skip the story by pressing the start button. I cannot skip bad maps. So, you know, there's a reason I've been continuing to play Fates, because I have things like coring quests, which allows me to just play Fates and avoid the story, which is horrendous. This is actually one of the issues I have with Echoes. I think Echoes has a phenomenally good story, but the gameplay is a little bit on the weak side, and as a result, I haven't returned to Echoes, whereas I played Fates probably over 10 times at this point, so definitely yes. Alright, so the next question comes in from Yanik, the best Oat boy, and he says, who is your least favorite Fire Emblem villain and why? P.S. I love you and your contents. My least favorite Fire Emblem villain, that would probably have to be Birdo from Thracia 776. I just think he's incredibly underwhelming. There's really nothing to him whatsoever. He's basically just a Manfroy clone, but without anything of the traits that makes Manfroy interesting. And he's also really shitty as an endgame boss, which, you know, is kind of sad considering Thracia is such a difficult journey and Birdo's such a pushover, which I think is just a really anticlimactic way to end the game. I know that you probably were a bit more curious as to why personally he's bad. Or actually you just said least favorite, so maybe gameplay is also warranted here. But yeah, I think Birdo definitely is my least favorite. I wish just he was something more than he is, because I think that Thracia 776 deserved a better finale than him. The next question comes in from Areku, and it's a bit similar to a previous one that has been asked, but also a little bit different. He/she asks, sorry if this has been asked before, but how did you get started in YouTube? When did you decide that, yes, this is what I want to do for a living? Any advice for someone who might want to follow in your footsteps? Okay, this is sort of two questions. We'll start with the first one. The first one I've sort of already answered. I hated my job. I sat down one day and I was like, okay, I might be able to do this. I crunched the numbers. I realized this is how many views I need to make it. This is how many views I have now. This is how hard I need to work. I can do it. It's hard. It's going to be really tough. I'm going to have to work super hard, but I can do it. And I did. And even today, I sometimes have to sit down and say, okay, I got to work harder. It's not like I'm living comfortably now. I still got to work pretty hard. So yeah, I think it was just the hatred for my job that led me to take this very desperate gamble. I did talk to my parents about it and they really did not like it. They tried to talk me out of it because my parents refused to believe that I could live off this, but hey, I showed them. Any advice for someone who might want to follow in your footsteps? Okay, so it's not for everyone, okay? That's really all I can say. This sounds really condescending, but I think it's also something that people should be a little bit more honest about. I hate it when people go, just follow your dreams, you can do anything you like, just as long as you set your mind to it. It's like, no, it's the most useless advice you could possibly give someone, okay? If someone wants to sing and they got a shitty voice, do you tell them that they should pursue a musical career? No, you don't. Here's the truth of the matter. You gotta have an insane amount of charisma to do YouTube for a living, alright? And I consider myself, if anything, a pretty charismatic individual. You gotta have a good voice, you gotta be captivating, you gotta have a certain kind of charm, you gotta be able to captivate an audience and be funny and entertaining. That's not for everyone, right? However, I will say this, it is possible for you to succeed in YouTube if you know your strengths and you play at your strengths. If you want to do YouTube for a living or something similar to YouTube, you gotta really consider what you're good at and what you're not good at. So for example, take a guy like Gast. Gast has insane amount of natural charisma. He's just a guy that can talk and you listen. Gast can do pretty spontaneous videos. He can really deliver his personality to his audience and be captivating and get tons of views. Then you got another person like Mecha, who's not very charismatic, and in fact his voice is very monotone, and he talks not very slowly, but he doesn't have a lot of energy behind his voice, but he still somehow manages to be sort of interesting because his videos take a more educational approach. Then you got Lucky Crit, who's definitely a charming guy, but his strength lies in his stellar video editing, and he's also very creative, and he's really good at making guides and walkthroughs. So my advice is discover what you're good at. If you're charismatic, you can do spontaneous videos without a script. If you're not charismatic, but you're good at editing, make scripted videos. You gotta figure out your strengths. You gotta play to your strengths. But here's the sad reality: if you don't got a shred of charisma and you try to do a let's play, nobody's gonna watch it. Not unless you do something absolutely unique or you have really good editing skills. Some people are just boring and they're not fun to listen to, and I don't think anything can change that. It's something we're born with. It's like a good singing voice. Some people have it, other people don't. If you don't got it, don't go into singing. The next question comes in from Benthenintendogamer, and he asks, "Hi Mangs, I wanted to know what direction you want to take the channel in, whether it be more oriented around fan stuff, corrinrightz, Staff of Ages, Fort Mangoloids, etc., or more let's play content, kind of like your recent Hector hard mode let's play." Honestly, I don't really have a big plan for the future. I tend to just release videos. I see what kind of reception I get, and if I get a lot of good reception, I continue doing it. A good example of this would be the Fort Mangs emblem hack. I originally planned for that to just be a one-off. Decided to just upload a video, play it, see how people like it, and I didn't expect it to do all that well, but it ended up doing insanely well, so I made a let's play out of it. It's really that simple. I throw something at the wall, I see if it sticks, and if it does, I do it again. I wish I could say I had a huge plan, but honestly, I don't. The next question comes in from Dr. Anime, and he asks, "Would you ever do a let's play of Turing Saga? If you were thinking of it, when are you thinking of starting it?" Okay, so as I said in the previous question, I don't really have an overarching plan of what I want to do. It's pretty much just more like, when does the timing feel right? So right now I'm sort of interested in finishing up some of my current let's plays, like Shadow Dragon. I really want to finish that one now so I can move on to something else. Turing Saga is on the list of let's plays that I want to do. I did a poll to see what my audience would be interested in, and Path of Radiance Maniac mode ranked really highly. I really want to do that one. I also want to do Turing Saga, naturally, and I also want to do a Fire Emblem 7X Immortal Sword, the fan hack. So there's a bunch of things that I'm interested in doing. It's really difficult to explain the mentality behind when I sit down and decide to do a let's play. It's really just about, I sit down, I think a little bit, and I'm go like, what do I want to do right now? What would be the most fun? What feels most fresh to me? Like if I've recently done something similar to Fates, for example, I won't sit down and suddenly want to do a Conquest let's play. It's been a while since I did the Tellius games, so I think the Path of Radiance Maniac mode is one of the more appealing ones. The thing that I don't like about that is that it's sort of slow, and it's also a game that Mecha hasn't expressed a lot of interest in doing. And I think if I want to go back and do it, I should do it with a co-host, because that is usually how my Let's Plays get the most popular. So I don't know. I want to do Tearing Saga. Maybe I'll bring Mecha along for it. I don't know. We shall see. The next question comes in from Christian Alonzo, and he asks, if you were to give advice to someone who wanted to start doing a Let's Play of Fire Emblem based channel, what would your best advice be? Well, I have several. First things first, go out, get a decent microphone. Make sure that you record with something that has at least 30 frames per second, because anything below that people are not interested in watching. And third of all, please don't play Fire Emblem 7 Lyn Story Normal Mode. I swear to God, why is this something that everyone does? Like, I understand it's a nice introduction to the game, but I swear to God, nobody wants to see a Let's Play of the freaking tutorial. If you want to do Lyn Story, at least play hard mode so that you don't have to watch someone go through the tutorial. Like, I don't get why so many people do this. It's so boring to watch. And Lyn Story in general is like, it's something that we've all seen a million times before. Do something new and creative that hasn't been done before, or at least something that is sort of unique. So try a randomizer. That's something I would really recommend to everyone, because randomizers are fun and spontaneous and people really like watching them. Try something like an LTC run, try a low tier run, like anything that makes your Let's Play unique. I swear to God, if I see another idiot coming in and doing a Lyn normal mode playthrough of Fire Emblem 7 going like, hey guys, check out my new Let's Play, nobody wants to see it, okay? Nobody. So yeah, that's my advice. Do something that's unique, please. The next question comes in from Ostrava Oatmeal, and he asks, what game has disappointed you the most when you played it? Alternatively, what game absolutely wowed you before? Right. Fates disappointed me from a story perspective. I expected a lot from that game. But I think a game that even disappointed me more was probably Awakening. Because Awakening story was also pretty weak, but also the map design of the Valmark was really horrendous. I have later come to appreciate Awakening a little bit more in my later years, because it has some aspects to it that's pretty fun, but I definitely was very disappointed on my first playthrough of Awakening. I remember being very, very angry and upset at it, because I just didn't think it felt like Fire Emblem at all. Alternatively, a game that really blew my head off was Echoes. Oh, absolutely. The first act of Echoes, actually the first two acts of Echoes was, man, that was something. Just the cinematics, the music, the story, the voice acting, everything. I remember the scene where Celica hugs Alm, you know, at the top of the balcony. I just remember watching that going, oh my God, what a charming game this is. Man. And while Echoes kind of struggled to maintain that epicness to it as it kind of started dragging out towards Act 3 and 4, I still think that it blew my expectations off. I didn't think they'd be able to remake Gaiden and make it a good game. So this next question comes in from Aldo Enriquez, and he asks, hey Mangs, what is an eventual goal you'd like for this channel? Be it a higher subscriber count, expansion into other channels, or collabs, or just a personal goal? My big goal is 100,000 subs. That has been my big goal ever since I got to like 10,000, because when you reach 100,000 subs, you actually get a physical diploma from YouTube. They send it to you, which is kind of cool, so you can have it on your wall. And I think once you get into 100k, that's sort of when you enter the big leagues in my experience. That's sort of when you get recognized as sort of a big channel. There are actually algorithms that come into play when your channel reaches certain points. This has been proven by multiple YouTubers. So for example, when you reach 1,000, that's a benchmark. When you reach 10,000, that's a benchmark. And when you reach 100,000, that's a benchmark. And even 1,000,000, that's also a big benchmark. We're not entirely sure exactly what happens, but your channel sort of gets a tag on it that says, this channel is now this big, so it gets exposed more, people find it more easily. I noticed like the road to 1,000 is always really tough for new channels, but once you hit 1,000, you hit 10,000 really quickly most of the time, because people just start to notice your videos a lot more. I'm not sure if this is something that YouTube has built into its algorithms, or if it's just normal or just accidental, I don't know. But yeah, my goal is 100,000 subs, and that is what I've been working through. I'm gonna hit 50,000 very soon, and I expect to possibly be able to hit 100,000 within a year or two. That would be really nice, and that would be a huge milestone for me personally. The next question comes in from HeroLu, and he's included a few miscellaneous questions, so I'm gonna be reading them one by one. And since he kind of wrote it a little bit messily. So he starts off by asking, what's your opinion of the music of Fire Emblem 6? I think it's good. It is my favorite Fire Emblem game. Certainly not the strongest soundtrack in the series, but I think it has some gems to it. Specifically love the Sake and Ilya player face theme. And I also really like the final map theme. I think it's great. He says, I love the recruitment theme. Yeah, so do I. He then goes on and says, can you remind us, /me, the current plan on when the Fire Emblem 8 Patreon PME will be Let's Played by you? It's basically, we Slendy think it's gonna be done maybe in June or July. That's the estimated time, but I would maybe say that maybe it might be a little bit delayed because everything always ends up taking more time than you think. But hopefully July would be nice. Then he says, when will Fort Mangs emblem get a public demo released? Angry. Well, you're in luck, my friend, because it just got released like yesterday, so link in the video description. And then he finishes off saying, also Fire Emblem Fates Heirs of Fate when Kappa. I swear to God, that is one Let's Play that people would keep asking me to finish. Maybe I'll have to do it sometime. Maybe. Alright, so the next question comes in from someone who did not list a name, and they ask, hey, what ab workouts would you recommend? Need to fat shred for a cosplay. Diet recommendations. Also wanted. Well, I've already talked a lot about cutting and counting calories, which I think you should definitely look into. I wouldn't say that I know enough about specific workouts to give direct tips, but I will recommend a very good YouTube channel called Buff Dudes, a link in the video description. They are hands down one of the best channels out there for just simple, nice workout tips. I really like their style and everything. They're really great. So definitely check out Buff Dudes. I'll see if I can find some specific ab workout videos that they have done. I can guarantee you that they have at least a couple. So definitely go check them out. Alright, there's another question coming in here from someone who did not leave a username, and they ask, I'm making a Game Boy Advanced hack with an Archer Lord, but I don't want her to suck like some other archers. What would you look for in a good Game Boy Advanced Archer, without making them too overpowered? First of all, I don't think you should worry too much about unit balance. Your Lord should definitely be a little bit stronger than the rest of your crew. But as I said earlier when I talked about archers, really, just give her good bases. I think that this goes a long way in making her a viable unit. Since she can't really do much on enemy phase being an archer unless she gets like a personal bow with 1-2 range or something, chances are that she at least needs to perform well on player phase. So if you give her enough strength and speed to consistently double and do decent damage, she's gonna be just fine. I mean, Fates kind of fixed this. For example, take Takumi, he has the Fujin Yumi, he does a lot of damage, and he's a really good unit as a result. Of course, he's a royal, and the royals are, by definition, really good, but really, I mean, Takumi is not so different from a regular archer, it's just that he does a lot of damage, and as a result, he's a perfectly viable unit. And here comes another anonymous question, and this one says, will you be heading to E3 in the US this year? No, I did not have any plans to do that. I definitely want to visit the States, though. One of the places that I really want to go is New York. But it would be an absolute blast to go to E3, and if there's anyone from like my community also going there, it would be really cool to do a meetup. But definitely not this year. Who knows? Maybe next year. Being live there for a Fire Emblem reveal would be pretty insane, though. I gotta admit. And they're definitely going to reveal Fire Emblem 16 on the C3. If they don't, I swear to God, I don't know what I will do, but they have to do it, surely. The next question also comes in from Anonymous, who says, or asks, do you like animals? Would you consider yourself an animal person? Which kind are your favorite animals? Yeah, I love animals. When I grew up, I wanted to live on a farm. That was like my big dream. And I'm definitely a cat guy. I really like cats. I think cats are very charming. I love dogs as well, but most of my my time spent growing up, my family had a house cat, so cats have always sort of been my favorite animal. I really just like how they act, how they behave. I like the fact that they're pretty like good at taking care of themselves, so you don't really need to invest all that much energy into them, unlike dogs, which are a lot of work. But I do actually sort of want to get a dog, I'm not gonna lie. I do like taking walks, and sometimes I wish I could have a dog with me on those walks. So who knows, if the next place that I move to allows pets, maybe I'll get myself a cat or a dog. I haven't really owned any pets on my own ever since I moved out from my parents at the age of like 22, 23, so The places that I live never had the ability to have pets because I tend to rent student apartments, so... But yeah, if I get a place where I can have an animal, I would love to have an animal. Frankenstein asks, do you have any non-Fire Emblem games planned in the future? XCOM, Civilization, etc. Yes, I do have a Fire Emblem Civilization Let's Play planned because the Fire Emblem Civ team recently released a hilarious package of add-ons which I really want to combine together in a meme-tastic Let's Play. XCOM, a lot of people ask for it, but I'm not really sure if I want to go back to it because I didn't really get a lot of views. I'm sorry guys, but if you want to see content, you're gonna have to click it. That's like the only thing I can say. I cannot do a Let's Play with like 1,000 views per episode. It's just not enough for me to consider to invest time in it. It sounds stupid, but that's just the reality of it when you do YouTube for a living. So the next question comes in from Memory, and he actually asks 3 of them. He says I can decide which one I want to answer, but I'm feeling generous, so I'm gonna answer all 3 of them. So the first question he asks is, what inanimate object do you wish you can eliminate from existence? Chairs. What's the most ridiculous fact you know? An avocado is actually a berry, but a strawberry is not. What is the funniest joke you know by heart? Well, I know a lot of jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work. This next question is very short and comes in from Resi, and she asks, is Sirius pronounced Sear-ee-oo? Not to my knowledge. I'm assuming you're asking this because of Camus and Camus. You see, Camus is French, and some French words and names do tend to end that way, whereas Sirius is Latin. So I looked up how to pronounce it. It sounds like this. Sirius. So, to my knowledge, it's Sirius, as in, why so serious? So I'm not really an expert on pronunciation, but to the best of my knowledge, that's how you say it. I have never heard anyone say Sear-ee-oo, but, you know, I could be wrong. So this next question comes in from Elroy, and he asks, with the release of Echoes and Heroes, do you feel like there should be more adjustments to the Arcanaya games, i.e. voice acting, updated art, animations, and how do you think that will be handled? Another remake years in the future? Oh god, no. Oh please, no. No more remakes of the Arcanaya series, please. I mean, we've had 2 freaking remakes already. Like, not even that, we have even more than that. I mean, we've had two... The games have been remade twice, but we've had, like, after the first, we've had Fire Emblem 3, Fire Emblem 11, and Fire Emblem 12, who are all remakes. So, yeah, 3 different remakes of the first game. Although, I guess you could make the argument that Fire Emblem 11 is a remake of Fire Emblem 3, but it's still a remake of the Arcanaya games. Overall, we've had too many Arcanaya games, and I mean, what they could do is they could go back to the same universe and make like a side story game. Maybe they I don't know, do the story of Camus or Nina or something like that. But overall, I really feel like they should just leave the Arcanaya games be right now. We've had way too many remakes already. Please, let's make some new games. I'm a little bit tired of remakes at the moment. This question comes in from Kenshi94, and he asks, if you could ask one of the talented artists that create art for Heroes to make a custom poster of Louise, which one will it be? Well, I've already said that my favorite artist is Hakan, so this one's very easy. Hakan is a master of drawing legs, and I would very, very much like to see him do Louise. Heh. So the final question comes in from Seva Sentinel, who asks, when Genealogy and Thracia get remakes? That's very optimistic. Would you rather have them be split stories in the Fates, or in the style of Fates, or combined into one big epic in a similar style to Radiant Dawn? Well, what I want and what I think they should do are obviously 2 different things. I personally just think they should release one game with all the content in it, similar to Fire Emblem 4, but that's not the model that they like to run with these days. If they expand each of the generations to such an extent that they can release them as 2 different games, I am definitely fine with that. I have also recommended throwing in the Thracia arc as like generation 1.5 and selling them as 3 different games. I made this exact suggestion in one of my videos that I made a pretty long while back where I talked about Fire Emblem 16. So yeah, I think that they should sell them as different games, and they could be standalone generations on their own. You got the substitutes if you choose to import that feature, so you don't really need to play the first generation to play the second. And Thracia 776 is a standalone story on its own because it came out as its own game, so that would be absolutely fine. Do I want them to? No, I think they should release everything in one game. I am also strongly opposed to DLC, but I also understand that from an economic standpoint, it's absolutely silly not to do it that way, because you make more money, and companies always want to make more money because that's what companies do. And anyone who thinks that companies shouldn't make money when they have the opportunity to make money are stupid. I'm sorry, that's how capitalism works. So no, I think they should do it. I wouldn't want them to do it, but I think they should do it from a practical standpoint. So that was all of the questions, guys. Thank you so much for being my Patreons. I know I say it a lot, but really, you guys are the reason why I'm still here. YouTube is not making it easy to survive in 2018 on ad views alone. And if it wasn't for you guys' support, I would have to do this part-time, and there will be a lot less content out for you. So I hope you guys enjoy these Q&A style videos. Let me know if you want me to do another. Again, I will always announce it on Discord and on Patreon whenever one is coming. So if you didn't get a question in for this one, there's always next time. And I'm also going to try a little bit more diligently to work on some Patreon requests, because I got quite a few one lined up, and I know that that's something that a lot of you guys want to see. So again, I would just like to say thank you so much for supporting me. It means the world to me. Some of you guys have been supporting me for over a year now, and I couldn't be more grateful to you guys. I know exactly who you are. I have you all on the list. I definitely see which one of you are continually supporting me, and I am ever so grateful for everything that you do. You are the best fans in the world. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.